Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Worship on Wednesday. We're talking about relationships this week. I am Karen Williams, the lead servant of the First Pentecostal Church of God. We are located at 5146 South Ashland Avenue. So here we go once again. So 2 weeks ago, we had an all-male panel talking about relationships, dating in the church. Then last week we had an all-female panel talking about dating in the church. I decided to have a mixed group of folks, and we're just going to talk about dating. I hope that's okay with you. So let me know what you think. Now, let me tell you, I don't own the rights to this music, but her does. This is Leah Janae doing the live version, and I love her voice. So we're going to get started, and we're going to have Melissa to introduce herself. Go ahead, Melissa.
Thank you, Karen. Hi, my name is Melissa Jones. I am a 40-year-old single female. I don't know why they got me on the show, but we're going to find out, right?
I'm a 54-year-old single female. Now let's go.
Born and raised in New Jersey, and cool. Here to hopefully add something to the conversation.
I am certain you will. Thank you for joining us.
Chenier? Absolutely.
Funky, fresh, dressed to impress, ready to party.
That's right. You better go.
I put on my good jacket today, so Pastor Kae invited me. Yeah, I'm okay. No, my name is Chenier.
I've known you for a little while. All your jackets are good, but go on.
Well, thank you. Chenier Alston. I'm the senior pastor of New Israelite Missionary Baptist Church on the south side of Chicago, not too far from Pastor Kae.
That's right.
That's my girl. I'm just, hey, listen, they picked me tonight, and I was saying I just put out a couple of notes or something. I don't know. I'm gonna help. Melissa gonna help me. Steve will help me. Pastor Kae help me. I just can't
do my best.
I can't get some therapy tonight.
I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing.
Melissa, you know he's fun, right?
So I'm just excited to be here.
Ready to get bammed.
I got my note pen ready to take all the notes so I can figure this thing out. All right.
All right, Stephen.
What's up? I'm Stephen Thurston II, executive pastor at the Salem Baptist Church of Chicago. Glad to be here again, Pastor Kae. Good to connect with you. Chenier, good to see your friend. Buddy. Melissa, be on your best behavior, please.
Listen, I already told the saints. I get colorful, and if something.
We've already had it in the back room. Y'all should have heard. Y'all should have been in the green room. My God. So let's get right to it. So I'm going to bring something up immediately. It threw me for a loop when I heard it, that the most unusual Lil Wayne and the most inarticulate 50 Cent said something about black women. So they, fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know what it is, they've they gather to one kind of Black woman. There's many different kinds of Black women, but they were talking about us poorly and said some other things that, I really didn't care for. Melissa wrote a post, and I would like Melissa to please pull out your device and read your post to the crowd. Clean your throat, mother.
So the post I put, it says 50 Cent, Lil Wayne, and anyone who agrees with them or thinks they are hilarious for the opinion of Black women are a disgrace. You think it's funny until you insert your daughter or your Black mother into this narrative. And please be clear, these women are stepping on, please be clear, the women you are stepping on the backs of Black women to get to have been the same women that will look down on you if you weren't standing on your wallet, sucker.
Yes. Yes.
I had a little extra on it, but I'm gonna save that.
I'm certain that you did. Thank you. Before the night is over, we don't know what's gonna happen, so we'll see.
This is the part where the glass is supposed to come on and the cigarette hang out our mouth, and then the thug like music come across the
right.
I'm a crip walk when we get off.
So let me ask all of you, this question is to all of you. So do you date outside of your race, or should people date outside of their race? Because you don't have to tell your business, that's okay, I'll tell mine. And do you then down your race? Do you down your Black race? I've dated outside of my race since I started dating. It was never because Black men were lacking. Absolutely not. It's because I date personality and not race. So that's me. Tell me, guys, what do you think about dating outside of your race? And again, you don't have to spill the tea on yourself.
I never have, but I'm not opposed to it. I'm with you on that whole piece about personality, and if people connect, they just connect. I do have preference, though, for somebody of my own race.
As do I, and it's for a myriad of reasons. One that, as a younger person, I remember one particular time, I was 19 and very fiery. I was in a restaurant, and this lady literally turned her entire chair around to stare at us eat. And I was so unnerved. And my guy was like, "Don't look at her." I said, "She's looking at us," And he was like, "Just ignore her." I can't. So when we got ready to go, I put my hand on her shoulder and said, "Bye-bye." She like jumped. It was. I started to think about now how I would have to, like, if we had children. I'm a very protective person, and I knew that, like, this may not work out. So it wasn't because of him or anything. It was because of having to deal with people shunning us just because we were a mixed couple. At certain points, I couldn't handle that. So yeah.
Well, me myself personally, I'm not dated outside my race, but I've messed around outside my race.
Got some Instagram likes, huh?
So I mean, I've messed around, but dated, no, but I've messed around with people outside my race. My thing is this: whatever makes you.
You said messed around like 3 times, but go ahead.
Yeah, so just to get the paint the picture. Yeah, but this before I got saved, y'all. So, I mean,
was that last week, Chenier?
Huh? Yeah,
was that last week?
No, but on serious, no. No, it's whatever, whatever floats your boat. I mean, I'm not no person who's restricted to one kind. Do I have preferences? Yes, I do. But I think that people, if this is what you like, this is who you like, this is who you love, I think that's what you should go after and be happy about it. Doesn't matter. I think, God created a kaleidoscope of all of us. We all different colors. And so hey, that's what makes you happy. I'm happy for you. So.
All right. Melissa, what about you?
I'm gonna try to say stuff that don't get me fired from my job.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
I believe in Black love.
Okay.
I believe that. Listen, you can date whoever you want to, but don't insult the opposite of what you choose.
Exactly.
So yes, fine. Date who you want to date, love who you want to love. I personally believe in Black love. I actually tried to date outside of my race, and by date I meant dinner. That was it. And it just it didn't click for me.
It didn't click?
It didn't click. And maybe it was just the person, but my preference is definitely Black love.
That's great. So listen to this. We have preferences within the Black race. So let's say we're only talking about Black folks right now. I grew up at a time when dark skin wasn't in. And so what I used to hear coming up was, oh, you're pretty to be Black. The implication was Black wasn't pretty. And then within that, so now within my Black race, I also have preferences. So what are your, or should people have preferences, like we're talking about one race now, within the Black race? So some people only like tall women that are size 2. And then there's other guys that like girls that are nothing above 5'2". And then there are other guys that like she has to have a Coke bottle shape. You know, is this realistic?
That's
where we are?
I can see it.
And for the men, some girls only date dark skinned guys. Then there are other girls that, you know, he has to have curly hair and vanilla colored skin. So it's preferences within the preference. What do you think about preferences? Stephen, please.
I think the preferences are cool, but I think that you at some point you got to mature and you've got to move beyond the surface, because all that stuff is going to fade. The 6-pack is going to turn into a milk jug. The Coke bottle is going to turn into a 2-liter. So it's got to be the elements of the person that helps the relationship to sustain and maintain. I know you like the beard, but you know, alopecia could creep in and stuff just start growing. It's not going to work. Yeah. I'm not talking about you, Melissa. Don't say amen. Don't tell on yourself. I wouldn't call you out. But if you want me to tell your business, since I know you, I mean, I can.
Watch it.
Right. Because you know that goes both ways, right?
Okay.
You don't know me.
Chenier, come on, talk.
I agree with Steve. I think that over time, preferences change. You know, what I used to like when I was younger, you know, definitely has changed. You know, preferences is dealing with things on the outside, you know, and you know, They'll Biv DeVoe had a, you know, great song. They said, "Don't trust a big booty and a smile." So, you know, when that was my preference at one time, it changed, and so those things change over time. So I think that I think you should have some level of preference, but I don't think it should be the guiding force that, you know, dictates to you what you attach yourself to. That's what I truly believe, because now it's more of personality matters to me. Now, I don't over spiritualize relationship, because you got to wake up with that person in the morning. Yes. Either you're going to wake up looking at Leah or you're going to wake up looking at Rachel. Choose ye this day.
Take it to the book. Take it to the book.
So you got to make up your mind what you want to look at in the morning. But
yes, sir.
At the end of the day, I think that it plays a small role as you get older. Mm-hmm. You know, but right now it's just, you know, I think you should have some level of preference, you know, so.
Absolutely. Melissa, what do you think about this?
I don't have a problem with preference. I think preference is fine. I think where I'm challenged with preference is where people exclude a particular type of person because they've been conditioned and not necessarily have recognized that they have been conditioned.
Got you.
So I think that's where my challenge becomes when it's a preference. It's like, but you only dated X, Y, and Z ever. You've never like even shown interest. Like dig a little deeper as to why is that. And if you just say, you know, I have not been colonized, then fine.
Yeah.
Well, that's very true.
I think that there is, you know, we have to be careful about our preferences, that it is not a reflection of what we have been dealt.
Okay.
I think sometimes your type is the reason why you're still single.
So, please tell me more.
Is that a shot?
Because I think I feel blood. I'm not sure.
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't think he was adding it. I don't think it was you, Melissa. This is generalization.
Let me get a glass of water.
Can we stretch our hands towards Melissa?
I'm touching you with the oil right now.
He's dealing with some internal stuff. Taking everything personal. My God.
Directive. You got to be clear when you're saying stuff in general, okay?
I think that's true for a lot of people, both male and female. Like when you have a certain type, so you've typecast your position, and this is the only thing that you'll take, and that will leave you.
And I think that's especially dangerous for Black women because the numbers are not in your favor.
Yeah, Stephen, I've heard you say that before, but can I say something? Right now at 54, that's not my problem, and it hasn't been since I found out, what being a woman was. But go on.
Hey.
I've heard you like, what? In this shortage, I don't have a shortage. Praise God. Glory, hallelujah.
Come on, Karen.
But go on.
Amen for you, Karen. I guess some of that comes from me spending a lot of my time in Atlanta.
Okay.
And so I hear a lot of complaints from there when you look at Black women and you look at the numbers. So in Atlanta.
Well, let's talk about that. They're in a place where they call it the Black San Francisco. So San Francisco is known for a high level of homosexuality. And now Atlanta is known for a high level of Black homosexuality. So if you go to a place where that's known for high homosexuality, what do you expect? Okay, go on.
Yeah. So in those conditions, like if you see something, you better say something. Because when you eliminate those who are gay, when you eliminate those who just ain't gonna be nothing, because we know we got some guys who just ain't gonna be nothing. When you eliminate those who are incarcerated, then you got slim pickings, and then you got this long checklist of what you need and what you want before you'll connect with somebody. You just might as well get you some batteries and be content with being by yourself.
Batteries notwithstanding, I think that, so if I lived in Atlanta, as I have for the last 20 years, I've dated outside of my state. So that's another thing that wouldn't bother me. Melissa, would you have a problem living in Atlanta? I wouldn't go looking in Atlanta for anybody. In fact, when I found them or we got together, I would have to check their medical history, check their background, see the pictures on their Facebook page and see who they were hugged up against. They'd have to prove it to me. So,
Atlanta is a no for me.
That's a no.
I lived in Atlanta for 1 year.
1 year?
And I couldn't wait to get out.
What? Tell me why.
Stephen knows this. He was in Atlanta when I was in Atlanta.
Okay.
For the same reasons that you mentioned. After you start to say, okay, they're gay, okay, there ain't nothing, okay, they're this, they're that. Then
so are you saying you have to date within your state? Is that something that's...
No, I don't.
Okay, because that is never a thing. In fact, I'm prefer out of state,
but I don't.
Too bad. Pastor Chenier, you chucking cheesing up over there. Dating? Do you suggest long distance dating, or is that something that you wouldn't suggest for couples?
I think if it works for you, if you know how to do it, I think that's the big thing. If you know how to manage it and put it together, and you set the rules to it, and I think that in cases where I've noticed, and even with myself, I've dated long distance before. I think we sometimes in those long distance situations we have a bunch of unspoken rules, and we don't know how to engage each other, and as a result, it starts to go into different directions and all that stuff.
Please share some of the rules. I want to know.
I think some of the rules, like what are we doing, and how are we going to conduct ourselves on this end while I'm on this end, you're on this end. What's the rules of engagement? Are we committed? Are we exclusive? Or are we just entertaining each other, when either I drop there, you drop here, or whatever the case may be. I think at some
point. Well, that's just kicking it. That's not
right.
That's
not
dating. Y'all kicking it. Ain't no rules to the kick it.
Not at all.
It could be a Jada Will type situation, though.
Huh?
Is what?
It could be a Jada Will type situation, though.
Yeah.
Will don't even know their type situation right now.
That's messed
so
up.
Will and Jada, okay, what do you guys think about that? So they're in a committed relationship. Well, they're in a relationship, marriage, and they decided, so it seems, that if you think August Alsina is credible in his speech, and I found him very sincere. I found him when he was speaking about the fact that I could die now knowing I've given myself to someone. When he said that, I was like, oh my God, I believe this boy is not lying. So this couple has figured out a way to stay together because now they're a brand and it's about the dollar now. So they're together and they, it seems, have decided that they can have other relationships. How healthy is that for the average couple? What do you think? How does that work? And I'm not talking about swinging. I'm talking about when you make a concerted effort. Well, they call them hall passes, where like I know couples that say, if you see your crush, if you see, like, if I see Matthew McConaughey, you know, all bets are off. Or
I ain't giving no pass.
Whoever your person is, you know, somebody, you know, be you know, a woman, you know, star Halle Berry, whatever. So that's a hall pass, and so you've decided for this one person if it comes up this way. And then there are other couples have decided some other things. How healthy do you think that is for a relationship? I don't think it's very healthy at all. But
I don't think it's healthy. I think it's Pandora's box. Because,
I think it is.
Because of, you know, we get caught up in our emotions at some point, and then something gets real good, and then once it's taken away, it poses a problem. I think it was. I think I said on a panel with Steve one day. He said something real powerful. He said the problem with us is that we don't know the difference between covenant and contracts. And so when you make a contract and you're a covenant person, you know what tends to happen is that, okay, I signed this agreement that we just go, you know, do our thing on the side. You know, I'm gonna be your side dude. You're gonna be my side chick. But then all of a sudden, emotions get involved.
Yes.
The reason emotions get involved is because inside you want to be in a covenant relationship with that person. And so now it creates all this chaos, and then next thing you know, you grow your hair out looking crazy. You're on camera talking about, you know, how if you ain't never loved again, you know, you love that at that moment. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of understand where August Alsina was. Not that I have been in that situation, but I'm just saying, you know, that type of situation is an appetite for destruction. It does.
It is. I've never.
Melissa, I ain't been in that situation. You get that little
never,
smile.
never, and I never will.
I saw that little grin.
Right.
Yeah. Did you see it? Did you see it?
Like she can't even hold it. No, but it's appetite for destruction. I think it will kill a relationship.
Stephen, what do you think?
Yeah. So I've had the privilege of having friends in that Hollywood circle. And this is more common than not. I won't name names. Please. I won't disclose people's information. And it really irritates me when I see people putting up pictures of couples talking about relationship goals. And I've been at some of the parties and some of the functions, and I know what's happening. Like, no, stop doing that. Stop projecting onto couples based upon pictures that you see. It's dangerous. It's unhealthy. It's not sustainable. Everything Chenier said, that stuff doesn't work. And it can take you down a real crazy path, and you find yourself not being able to be fulfilled. And so you take it to another level to try to find fulfillment. It's like a gateway drug in essence. And it takes you to weird paths, and weird things happen in weird places. It's not good.
Everyone who started smoking crack thought at one point they had control over it.
Right.
So
you're saying this is you're likening this to crack.
Talk to an ex-drug addict, they'll tell you, they thought they were going to control that thing. But at some point they lost control. And that's the same way in those situations. You think, I'm in control. You know, I know how to just, flip it and then go back home, you know what I'm saying, and be good. But then all of a sudden, all it takes is that push that right button and it's over, and you got a whole mess.
Yes, you do. I want to add something in with this, Melissa, for you. So then tell me why. Wouldn't it be better to have an understanding about this rather than have all the cheating? Because it's a lot of cheating that goes on. And so there was no meeting of the minds. It was just one partner saying, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it. Either they're good at cheating and nobody will find out, or they're not so good at cheating and everybody knows. So is it better to just go and cheat? Why is the choice of cheating coming up if this is a bad idea? If you can understand. Did I make it plain or?
Well, it seems like Will gave the hall pass, so he was clear with the cheating. It seemed in this particular situation. It seems. I think in general, if you're going to cheat, if you know you have the propensity to cheat, if you don't like being with one person, don't get in a relationship.
That's not realistic, though. You know that, right? That is absolutely not realistic.
How is it not realistic?
That people won't say, "Oh, I'm going to cheat, so I'm not going to get in a relationship." No,
true.
They won't say, "I won't cheat, so I'm not going to get married." They won't say that. It happens so often. He's coming back. Chenier, what do you think? So,
the cheating thing for me, if you're going to do it, if you want to be open, listen, everything doesn't work for everybody.
It doesn't.
Many people have many different situations. Some people live in different houses. Some people have, extra relationships. Some people live in different states. I mean, I personally know people who live in different houses in different states, and they're married.
They're married, yes.
And they're married, and it works for them. So who am I to subscribe to prescribe what is best or what is not? I think it is all about the level of trust that you have with the person as well. If you explicitly trust this person and you trust each other and you guys communicate about certain things, then who am I to say you can't have that and it won't work for you? It won't fall past my, I'm not giving that.
You're not giving any hall passes? Oh, me either. Absolutely not.
No, let me say, I think that people, like you say, you have to be realistic and you just got to have a great understanding. Listen, I've cheated before and I've fallen in love with the person I've cheated with. Now, that was not my intentions starting off. My intentions were just to have some fun, meet a need at that moment. But it ended up that I started to have deep feelings and emotions for that person. So once again, that contract, people sign contracts that they don't want to live up to, that they already know they're not going to live up to the terms of that contract because they think that's what they want. They think that's what they need. They say, okay, well, this is our contract. You don't call me after 7. we gonna creep when we want to. We're gonna go here and go there and do this, do that. We're gonna keep it on the low. But then all of a sudden, you start calling at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. You're thinking about this person, because you're spending this time, you're spending this emotional energy with this person. So I think people really don't understand that it does not go the way you plan. I just got through dealing with a young lady with this. She called me up and she was just like, man, she put a contract on the table that now and it was a side chick and side dude contract. You do you, I do me. You know what I'm saying? And so now, but she started to change the agreement in the contract, the terms of the contract. She started to say, I want you to spend more time with me. And now he's bagging up like, no, I'm good. And as a result, now she was asking me, so what should I do? I said, well, lady, you signed a contract. He living up to the terms of it, but you in trouble.
And enjoying them.
That's what I'm saying. You in trouble now. So
I think she should break the contract if she can't then deal
But it's
with
hard. He don't broke
Certainly
her
it is. Certainly it is, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible. It is hard. I can say it is.
He done broke that spot. So he broke the spot. Now she done. I mean, she in trouble. So I mean, she gonna. And I told her, I said, listen, you might as well get ready to struggle because you about to have a hard time coming out of this. And she inboxed me the other day. Said, Pastor, he said, you're absolutely right. I'm struggling. I said, well, just keep holding on. You'll be all right after a while. But don't get under nobody else to get over him. I said, just
exactly. And I've heard people say that to get over one man, you get another one. I disagree. I totally disagree. I think we need to take some time, both men and women, to now negotiate and talk about what happened here, learn the lessons that we need to learn, and so we won't have to repeat ourselves in the next relationship. Also, you need to identify what your wants are and what the things that you can take and the absolute things you cannot take. Sometimes we don't know what we want, but we know what we don't want. So you need to start honing in on that particular list. What don't you want? So, Stephen, did you hear what the question was? Why then isn't it more civilized to have the conversation about cheating? Because a lot of people do, both men and women. I want this to be made clear.
Yes.
I hear women saying men cheat. But if they're a heterosexual man, who do you think they're cheating with? They're cheating with women. Women are just slicker with it. They're quieter with it. And you just don't know. Not every woman wants to let you know she did. But if he's a heterosexual man, he's cheating with a woman.
Yeah.
What do you think, sir?
Yeah, so I don't think people are honest with themselves about their level of engagement, what they're qualified for. Some people are only hardwired for a lightweight relationship. They can't get into an intimate relationship.
Got it.
And because they don't know themselves well enough, or they continue to lie to themselves, of course, they don't translate that information over to the person that they're engaging in a relationship with. And so it's important, I think, to have those truthful and transparent conversations up front so we can state the rules of engagement so everybody knows where everybody's coming from.
How do we approach that? So is that something that you're talking about on the first date, 5th date, 10th date? How do you broach a subject of, are you a cheater? Me, I just say that, just like that. Are you a cheater?
I can imagine that.
Who did you ask me that?
Yeah.
We already know.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
No. You said we are.
No, real talk,
Not current day.
No, real talk. No, absolutely no. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because, at some point, Steve said it again. He said mature. Once you start to mature, you see life on a whole different scale.
Yes, it did.
For me, things are so different now. You know what I'm saying? And, it's been that way for a while. You know what I'm saying? And I don't like pain. I don't. And I know for a fact that if you sow that seed coming back at you.
It will.
It's coming. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. So I make it my point to just be straight up and just live it and just do and stay committed to what it was. Because what I discovered is that my cheating was born out of some pain in my past.
Yeah.
And I had abandonment issues, and after going through counseling, I discovered that was one of the things that fueled my cheating, because when I felt abandoned, I would always run to places or people that I thought were safe spaces for me.
Yes.
And so after going through that process of being healed, you just like, oh man, I'm good, and it's not worth it, man. Because listen, I'm pastoring the church. That's enough to deal with.
Man, I was trying not to bring that in, but I got to bring it in. I was trying to
this is where
but I got to.
You got to manage that, man, and that's just like it's just like I said, once you're going through a nightmare, I don't think you want to go back through it. I learned my lesson on that. So
yeah, so
I think Chenier brought up a good point as it relates to why men cheat. I did a whole series on this piece, and I think a lot of ladies often think that it's something wrong with them. And oftentimes it's not necessarily something wrong with you all that will cause a guy to cheat. That past pain, transference issues, not knowing how to be honest and say this relationship isn't working, so I just cheat as my way of saying it's not working. I want to get caught, all of that type of stuff. Yeah. So I think that's important for ladies to recognize that it's not always something that you're lacking or missing.
Okay. Melissa, what do you think?
I didn't think I would be lacking or missing anything. Why y'all shaking your heads? I don't know.
And you still single, right, Melissa?
I'm sorry, Stephen, say that again.
You're single right now, or you?
By choice.
Oh, okay.
Be clear.
So
I'll talk to you after. I'm sorry, Kim. What would you say?
So tell me this: how do you deal with that? So I'm going to bring the church thing in a little bit. So in my lifetime, I've been a First Family my entire life. I've seen a lot of things as it pertains to church and women, and like men particularly. So a pastor could have a whole entire wife and family, and they take the beautiful pictures, and he get up and say how beautiful my wife is, so wonderful. I love her. See, look at her. Ooh, she's the prettiest thing in the whole world. And he has a mistress, a girlfriend, a jump off. And will assist anybody that asks him to assist. But he's showing this, ooh, look at my beautiful, wonderful wife. One of my friends hit me to that because I didn't really understand that, why they would heap all these compliments on this wife that everybody almost in the room knows that they're cheating on. And my friend said she could be pretty, but she's not giving him what he needs. I was like, whoo, that hit me in my head like, wow. But then how then do you deal with a space where are people not honest at all, where they're saying you're not giving me what I need? Is this how we do relationships now? And it happens both in church and out, and I just mentioned that.
I think people don't know what they want and what they need all the time.
Okay.
So what they started out wanting or what they need also differs later. I think you grow, and if you guys are not growing at the same rate, then your needs are starting to be different than what he originally signed up to give you. And so then there becomes this disparity. And then I think here insert people not having the honest conversation. And then this could lead to, well, I'm talking to my work husband.
Oh, yeah. Have you heard
this?
I've heard this. Yeah.
We talking about our challenges together, and then that spirals into something out of control. So I think initially maybe people don't even know what they want or they need. They look at other people and say, "Oh, I want that," and that's not what they need actually.
Wow.
Or they sign up together and say, "Okay, this is us," but then they start to outgrow each other in different ways, and then that becomes an issue. So I think it's a myriad of different reasons.
Okay.
I seen I sat at a conference one time, and it was a white guy. The white guy was up there preaching. He was talking about relationship stuff, and he said he talked about, and his wife was right there with him. And he said something before us that just really just blew my mind. You know, I was young in the ministry, young in the faith, and he said he said, "Yeah, man, I came home one day and told my wife." He was a veterinarian. He said, "I was attracted to my assistant." And so I looked over at the wife like that. I know she just bust him clean upside his head when he said that. But to my surprise, she said, yeah. That's because I said after that, I said, "Yeah, you can't tell no sister that." But that's because I said that in my immaturity. And then, but with his wife, he came home and he told his wife that, and her response was just so stellar. She said, he said she told him, "Well, what do you need me to do? Because evidently there's something that you may be missing right here." And what that taught me is that in relationship, you got to have courage. You have to have courage in communication.
Yes.
You have to be willing to tell a person, because now I got courage. I was like that. I just, hey, you don't, I can't expect you. I was expecting people to know. I was expecting, you need to know me. I don't have to tell you how to rub my back, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Crack my toes. I should not tell you how to do all that, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Stop, Melissa. That's just a figure of speech.
Right. Okay.
So, but I'm just saying, or better yet, make my toes. Put it that way. So, but
toe cracking. Gotcha.
So I had to. What he taught me that day is how to have courage in communication. That you come in and not expect her to be a mind reader, but say, "Hey, listen, today, you're not rubbing my back the way I need you to rub my back. Please, let me show you how to rub my back." Yes. And I think that we've been trained not to speak, but just think a person is a mind reader, and they're not. At some point, you have to say, "Hey, listen, if you want the relationship, you want it to survive, and you don't want to get yourself out there and or say, hey, listen, this is our issue. This is what I'm feeling right here. This is what I don't like, and this is what I like." So I think at some point, you got to have courage in conversation and just communicate your needs and let them know. Now, if they choose not to meet that need, you got to at some point just say, "You know what? This ain't working, and this is what it's leading to." But if that person really loves you, they're going to sit down and they're going to say, "Okay, I'm your student today. Teach me." And that's just...
It takes a secure woman to take that, and I'm not sure there are a lot of them.
You think so?
Do you think so? I do, because I think women internalize feedback. Like, they start to think, okay, obviously she asked the question of what am I not doing? I'm not sure if every woman... Obviously, a lot of women are not asking this question because I don't know if we want to hear it. And obviously, so it because then it requires you to do something about it, or it makes you feel like I'm inadequate. So I think, it takes a secure woman to ask that question and really want to hear it.
Wow.
But when you do that, you put the power back. You put the onus on them now, because then when it comes back, they can't never say, "You didn't tell me that. You didn't tell me that this is what you like." You be like, "Yes, I did. I told you how to do it." And like I said, at some point, my motto is this. This is my motto. One of my mottos is this: forever a student, often a teacher.
Yes.
Like, I already know if I'm in a relationship with you, I'm in student mode at times, and I need to be a student. I need you to teach me some things. I need you to teach me about your life and what you like and what you prefer, because I don't want to be that student that fails the class.
Yeah.
If I got in a relationship with you, I want to pass this class. And so at some point you got to ask, what do you like? Now, if I don't do the work after you told me what I don't like, that's shame on me. I'm just dumb and stupid. I'm not going to ever graduate. I'm just, that's how I feel.
Stephen, what do you think?
We're talking about the difference between expectations and wishes. An expectation is something that formulates in the mind, comes out of your mouth. The other person hears it, they receive it, and they're able to communicate it back to you. That's an expectation. A wish is where it just stays in our mind, and we think that it teleports over into their mind. And if people can make that distinction and that difference, then that would create healthier levels of conversation to move through. And I think Melissa made an interesting point, a good point. about people not being able to receive it.
Yes,
but
definitely.
that goes back to that maturity piece and being able to hear the truth. And I think that, as couples that are going to be healthy and have a sustainable, healthy, long-lasting relationship, you have to be each other's blind spot indicator and be able to tell the other person about themselves, the stuff that they can't see about themselves, and know that when your partner is bringing this to your attention, it's done to better you. It's done out of love. There's no hidden agenda that's there.
Yes, that's good. So I'm going to switch it up for you, Melissa. Question: what does a healthy relationship look like for you, and how do you go about achieving it?
Breathe. Took a deep breath.
The words that you share now will be used against you. This is recorded.
This is why I don't want to be on this panel with Steven. Okay. Healthy for me is open and honest, like at every turn. Like I mentioned, the point of you have to be secure in receiving feedback, because I don't always want to receive the feedback, but I am receptive to it, because it might hurt my feelings. I'm sensitive at the end of the day, Steven.
Most women are.
Yeah, and so, but I want to hear it regardless, because I want to be able to be in a situation where I trust the person that I'm with 1,000%, and I know that it's positive intent what he's telling me.
Yes.
Fun. Don't come with, I get bored in 3 seconds. So it has to be fun, open, honest, and driven. We have to be on a quest to make each other better at every turn. Okay. And so, and I can give you, I can give you a list, but I'll stop there.
But I want to ask, so how do you go about, how should one, I wouldn't just put it on you. So how would like a 40-year-old woman, single, go about now trying to achieve the things that you just said? How does she go about that? Melissa is killing me.
You need to drink some more water?
Yeah, right.
Wash it down.
Right.
How do I go about achieving it? I think it's first you have to find, you got to weed them out. I think that is ultimately right.
How do you do that?
You have to find your pool of people that you even want to be engaged with.
I call it catch up to your crowd.
I'm sorry?
I said I call it catch up to your crowd. Every crowd is not your crowd.
Exactly. And then I think it's being straight. I shoot from the hip, and I typically can weed people out that way, because some say, oh, she's a lot, she's too much, she's direct, she's this. And that's not my person. My person is understanding that I'm direct, but I have a heart of gold. And so that's how you start to find your crowd. And then you sort of weed through that through honest and open communication.
Yes, indeed. So I've always been told I was too much. I think I'm too much for the wrong person.
Exactly.
So I found my crowd, and I'm not enough for that crowd. So they want everything I have. So I think finding your crowd, finding your people, the people that you connect with, people that connect with you, the people that get you. I think that is so important. You guys, go ahead, please.
I'll chime in something, because I'm friends with both of you, and so what I appreciate about both of you is that you at least you use me, and you'll use me as a point of accountability. Yep. Melissa will go out on a date and call me back and be like, hey, this is what happened. Like, how do you view me? How do you see me? Yep. Tell me the truth.
I've done that.
And she's able to receive it. And Karen, we have that level of relationship too, where we can be honest, and I can. So I think having somebody of the opposite sex that you're friends with,
you have to have it.
Trust to tell you from that opposite sex's lens, what's real and what isn't real.
That's good. So what do you think? Also, Stephen Marr, you're here. What is a good relationship? And you don't have to use yourself. What does a good relationship look like? How should one go about achieving it?
Being authentic is how you go about achieving it.
Okay.
Just stop with there are 4 people in every relationship, the 2 representatives and the 2 real people. Sure. And you have friction when the 2 real people normally meet each other.
Wow.
So you got to be authentic from the jump. I am who I am all the damn time, pulpit, corporate office, in the street, whatever. So that has to be there. And for things to be well, for things to be right, you have to put your values, your expectations, all of that on the table and connect with somebody who merges with that, who can meet those things. There's a level of agreement there for you two to be able to move forward. You're going to have your differences, but you, at least those core things, those baseline things, you got some level of connectivity there.
That's good. Chenier, what you got?
I think the three things that's important for me is truth, transparency, and trust.
You better bring them T's out. Come on here.
So, I mean, truth in the sense that we can be truthful with each other, that I can be truthful about who I am and what I am, but also transparent about it. You know, I should be able to be transparent with, if I'm with you, be transparent about where I come from. Because, you know, we meet people in the middle of our movies. You know, when I met everyone, you know, I met you in the middle of your movie. I don't know what scene you were in, but I didn't meet you in scene one. So I think that, you know, so if I'm transparent with you and I'm just exposing, you know, some of my hurts, that I should be able to trust you, that you care enough for that, because I'm coming in the relationship not perfect, but progressive. So I got some issues that I'm coming with. I got some problems that I'm still trying to figure out, you know, that I'm trying to wrestle with and trying to manage and let God change those things in me. And so I should be able to take those sacred secrets that I have, or those soft spots, and say, hey, listen, I trust you with this. And you not, when you get pissed off at me, say, yeah, that's why your mama stink. You know what I'm saying? Something like that, you know what I'm saying? Just be like, you know, and I trusted you with that. So I think those things, those three elements are so key. And I don't think that people know how to handle someone who's very truthful, someone who's very transparent. You know what I'm saying? I don't think people know how to do that. And as a result, you know, that for me, that's what helps a relationship to, you know, progress or go forward and be
That's
great.
good. That's good. So here's another question. Is it unrealistic to look for forever in relationships right now? I know that's heavy. I'm going to repeat it again. So, and I'll give you an example of what I mean. So now when we look at relationships, should we now say, okay, that'll be good for about 10 years. Oh, that'll be a good 15-year relationship. Oh, this is going to be a great first marriage. Because I've heard people say that. Oh, you make a good first husband. Like, what? Is this how we calculate now? Is it unrealistic to look for forever? Anybody can go.
Yeah, I think in our current context, I don't see a lot of forever. And we try to juxtapose, you know, where we are to where our parents or even grandparents were.
Yeah.
It's a different social construct. You can't even compare the two. Like, women would stay with men that were abusive and all that other stuff.
Yes.
Because they didn't have options.
No.
Now we're in a space where women have options, they have freedoms, they have more rights, they have access. And so that creates a different type of dynamic as it relates to relationship. And I don't think that people are willing today to put up with as much stuff as maybe other generations may have had to some degree. Again, because options weren't as plentiful.
I think it still exists. I think forever still exists. I think that based on, you know, this current context, you just got to change the approach. You know, if we go down the street, we know that the speed changes at any given time.
Yes.
And so you got to know what speed to take. You know, we live in a very fast-paced society, very fast-paced context. Everything is fast. Everything's fast. I think that when you slow down and you take your time, because I've learned to drive slow now. I've learned to drive very slow. And you know what I've discovered in driving slow?
What?
You'll put somebody in the car with you that don't like it. And they always get anxious. And you saying, hey, listen, I'm just driving real slow because I'm going to get to my destination. You want to get there driving 900 miles an hour, and we're going to crash. We're going to miss be quiet, Melissa. We're going to miss every turn, every light. We're going to do that. So now I just want to get in the car and I want to drive slow, because when I drive slow, it's going to really expose if you have patience or not. It's going to expose who you are. Just put somebody in a car who loves driving fast and you drive slow and see how they act with you. That's how I look at it. I just think that even we have to look at what we're in right now. Everything's microwave, quick, fast. We have to change our approach with it. And we have to say, hey, listen, let me do something different, because everything's going fast. Everything is crashing. Everything is crashing now. You know what I'm saying? Everything is crashing. So let me just go slow. because you know back in the days that's what they did. They went slow. So I think it still exists. You just got to know how to approach it.
Not in the church world, though. In the church world, you know, you find
everything is
somebody
fast in the church world. I'm seeing people get married yesterday who just found each other yesterday.
Yes.
Straight up.
Yes. Yes. What about Melissa? Do you think forever is unrealistic right now?
For some people, for some people, yes. I think that when you have found your person, I think it's definitely a forever possibility. I think the mass majority of people, at least from my experience and knowledge and relationship with people, no. You know, people don't look at marriage the same way.
That's true.
Or long-term relationship the same way. You know, it's more about, I have seen people, it's more about the fact that I have this and you don't as a single person versus the two of you in your marriage, in your relationship. It's almost like a badge of honor. I've seen that hands down a number of times. I've seen people's clock tick. Oh, I should be married by, and this is for men and women. I should be married by X age.
Yes.
So you enter into this marriage and you like, maybe I didn't want to be married at all.
Right. Yeah.
So, you know, I think it is for some people. I think there is a forever for some people. My best friend, she got married at 25 or so. And, you know, we're 40 now. And I see forever for them. There's people who I know that are married today. And I'm like, when is it? Okay. I give them 6 more months, you know? So yeah, I think it differs for different people.
True.
And Pastor Kae, if you don't mind if I say something real fast.
Please.
The thing with forever is that sometimes forever creates this illusion in the minds of people. When they attach forever, they when they see forever, they attach, you know, a beautiful sunset, sailing on smooth ground, all that stuff. They have a misinterpretation of forever. I think that with forever comes struggle, strife, and heartache, nights of crying.
You preaching tonight,
where you're gonna roll over and look at that person and say, "Hey man, why the hell did I marry you?" You know what I'm saying? they have a misinterpretation of forever, and so when they are met with the reality of forever, they tend to throw in the towel and say, "Hey, you know what? I'm done with this, man, because this is not the forever that I thought was. A forever can be, you know, a fairy tale also, but you can't attach the fairy tale part to forever." You know, so
that's totally
and that's another thing. I think we don't look at marriage realistically. I think that's what sometimes pushes us out, because we go in with a preconceived notion, and then the preconceived notions keep us from allowing it to be what it's going to be or what it was going to be, and we'll kick out. Also, I think I know people that have been married 60, almost 70 years. I know, so and on down the line, and some of them 40 years, and they quote off the years. I was at some parties about 7 years ago, and they were saying, 50 years. And I was like, okay, so we cheer the years, and then they look at us single people like, you know, and I'm saying, but I just told your husband to stop calling my phone in your 50 years, you know? So it's like, how, let's see. I want to form a question. I'm just, Melissa, you're killing me. I lost my train of thought. You're killing me. But is it good to stay in a relationship, or do you think people can come back from the cheat? And I've known couples where the woman cheats and the man didn't, and I know where the man cheats and the woman didn't. Do you think that you can come back from a cheat?
You can come back for whatever you destine your heart to, if both parties are willing to work it out. I think that I think it's a choice. Yes. If they say, "Hey, listen, it happened. Let's grow from it. Let's make it better. Let's make ourselves better." I think you come back from anything. I just think the problem is that when people do it, they don't know how to come back from it. You know, we were never taught how to return from that stuff. We were taught how to fall, but we were never taught how to get up. You know, it's easy. Everybody teaches how to fall, but no one teaches us how to get back up. And so I think that we have to spend some more time teaching people that when you fall, how do you get back up? How do you recover from this? You know, and deal with the whole aspects. I think Steve and I, when we were at Prime, I shared a personal story of mine with that about, when I had a great fall in my church, and how I had to learn how to get back up from that, because I was taught how to fall, but no one taught me how to return from that, how to get back up from that. And, what I thought in getting up was that everything was going to pop right back in place, and everything didn't pop right back in place. I had to learn how to walk all over again. I had to earn trust again. I had to do all these wonderful things, all these things that help build, the relationship that was broken as a result of my ignorance. And so I just think that you can come back from it if you're given the tools on how to recover.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. That's really good. Stephen, what do you think?
Oh yeah, definitely. It requires the time, the energy, and the effort to do it. It's always interesting in my counseling sessions with couples, and the infidelity has crept in, especially if it's the guy who's been the cheater, and he expects situation to turn around just like that. And I'm like, sir, no, it took you 15 minutes to get into this, but it's going to take you several years to get this situation straightened out. And a lot of the guys don't want to put the work and the energy and the effort and to be, vulnerable, naked, to rebuild the trust with their significant other. So that has to be there for there to be that rebound and that recovery.
Yeah, that's good. Melissa, what do you think?
I agree. I mean, I've seen people come back from the craziest of situations because they wanted to.
Exactly.
And that's really at the end of the day, and they thought it was worth it. Now, if you don't think it's worth it, then it's not going to work. But I've seen people come back from things that I would have been like, ain't no way.
Yeah, it's certainly a choice. So this is my last question of the evening. And I'm going to give you a couple seconds to think about it. What is the one thing about the opposite sex that you've learned that you'd want to share with people? The one thing that you've learned in dating, the one thing that you've learned in counseling, the one thing that you've learned in people watching about the opposite sex that you want to say, hey, let me get my girls together and say this one thing. We were talking about in the green room about being independent as women, and also allowing the man to know that we need him. And like, that's a thing. So that would be the one thing that I would tell my girls to say. Make sure you're independent enough to take care of yourself, but also you must let your man know that you need him, because you do. And I think we've not taught that enough because we've dealt with single parent homes, and a lot of people in our community grow up with the one parent or even the grandparents raising them. And so there is a bit of animosity toward the parent that didn't show up.
Yeah.
And so since women have had to do it by themselves, it looks like to the children that the woman is it. And so the girls will grow up thinking, I don't need a man. I don't need him for that. I just need him for one thing. And I'll use him because they didn't get the benefit of their dad. I remember this was years ago. I was a teenager, and Father's Day rolled around. At that time, we were just a wee bit estranged from our dad. We got our mom Father's Day cards. She was extremely uncomfortable with it. She was so, in her face, I saw her face, and her face was like no. And she would tell us, she said, I cannot be your dad. And we were, you better take these cards. Like, we were adamant about giving to you. You were mom and dad. And she was saying, I can't be your dad. And she let us know that because we were lacking it, that didn't mean we didn't need it. In fact, this anger that we were now showing meant that we definitely needed him. So I want the women to know that even if you're raising your children by yourself, you still need to let them know that men are essential. Men are needed. They are important, and not all men are the same. So what would you guys say?
I would say that life is a process for women. They connect all the dots. It's a storyline. It's a big plot.
That's true.
And you have to go along with them on this journey. So that means sometimes you just sit and listen. They don't need the guidance, the direction, the problem to be fixed. And you've got to kind of just be in tune to where she is and what she needs from you in those various moments, because it will change from moment to moment. And you just got to know your partner well enough to be able to exegete her text.
You better come on here. Chenier?
Well, if I had to tell a guy, I would tell him this, that, always respect how a person feels, even though those feelings may be a little faulty or created out of some level of pain and hurting, that like everyone has some level of pain that they're processing through. And so don't ever devalue a person because that's the way they feel, or that's what they're going through, or that's what they're dealing with. They feel that way for a reason. So it's vitally important to, in the process of help, respect how they feel and not just be so closed-minded to how they feel, and not get to the point where you don't want to listen, like Steve said, listen to their stories or listen to, this or that. And because when I was younger, I used to be like, I just was ready to attack, and defend myself. You feel this way, I'm defending myself. No, forget that. But then as I got older, as I lost, a lot of battles, say, wait a minute. I had to learn how to listen to how they feel and say, okay, this is how you feel. And there's a reason you feel that way. And I respect the way you feel that way. Now, if it's a false feeling, let me help you understand, what's going on. So I think that with guys, I think we should understand that when you meet someone, just try to listen to them. Try to listen to what they're saying and communicate with them and share with them your truest feelings and see where they are. Because at the end of the day, if you want to build something great and worth having, it's going to take some work.
Yes,
it's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of patience, because we all come in with some jacked up areas in our life, where we have under construction written on the door and all that stuff. We got some broken pieces that we still trying to mend together and all that stuff. And you just got to help them see it, and if you're willing to stick with them and be with them, you just got to be compassionate enough to help them process that, just as someone did with you.
Yes,
that's my, encouragement to people.
Melissa, what about you?
What I would say to women about men is to create a soft landing for him. Men take on a lot. They don't let you see a lot. They deal with it on their own. They don't even go to other men to share with. But if you can create that soft landing, I think that he will value and cherish you. And then within creating that soft landing, don't use it against him later. But for it to be that lock, it goes under lock and key. So I think that's what I would share with other women about men.
That's very good. It's been a very interesting conversation with you all. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
We've been talking for a little over an hour. I see that we're going to have more conversations like this, but next week we're going to have a conversation, and the title of the show is Father Factor. So I want you guys to tune in and see what we're talking about. We're going to talk about, I'm having a panel of men, and then I'm going to talk to the all-women mother, and then we're going to have a joint conversation about it as well. I think it's needed and necessary for us to be open and transparent. I thank you guys for your transparency. It's been great being here with you. Tomorrow at First Pentecostal from 10 to 12, we're serving food, and we have been serving 150 plus people. We give you food for 5 days in that one day. And so please come by tomorrow from 10 until 12 at 5146 South Ashland Avenue. Pastor Alston, would you please pray us out of here?
Yes, Father, we thank you so much for this time. Thank you for Pastor Kae and providing a platform where we can discuss what's most important, relationships, something that you created, formed, and fashioned through your sovereign hand and grace. And Lord, I just pray, God, that what we said tonight has really benefited your people, your listeners. Thank you for Pastor Stephen. Thank you for Melissa. Just thank you, God, for using us in such a way that has brought illumination to dark places and dark spaces. I pray, God, that, Lord, as we continue to grow with you in relationship, that you'll continue to grow us in relationship with others. So bless now, God. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, guys. And I will see you all soon. Bye.
All right, then. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh.